This is Dr. Chris's radio horror program on 91.3 FM, WCUW in Worcester, Massachusetts. And we are doing a recorded interview with one of the stars of American Horror Story, as well as the movie Creature, The Gates, and several other projects. Jennifer Lynn Warren, thank you for coming on the show with us, Jennifer.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Now, off the air, we were talking a little bit about one of my favorite movies of all time, Creature. Not even in the slightest. When I went and saw that movie, and you can hear my review or read it online, I said, wow, this creature, this alligator guy, he looks like Killer Croc from the old Batman animated series. Did you ever watch that?
No, my boyfriend's a big fan, so I'll have to have him pull that up for me.
Yeah, pull up images of Killer Croc and take a look at the creature from Creature and Killer Croc and his many different incarnations, the way he's been drawn, and go, wow, that does look like Killer Croc. The entire movie I kept thinking, Batman's going to come in and save these kids. Now he's going to save them. Wouldn't
it be great if Batman just showed up halfway through that movie? You would not see that coming.
That would have been awesome.
We could do some reshoots.
Definitely. Now, with Creature, you were telling me you nearly got killed on set. Did you get killed nearly getting eaten alive by the Gator Man?
Well, my character got ripped in half, and the lower half of her body got eaten, and the rest of me was left to rot on the side of the lake. But during shooting, I think I was in that water. I think they logged me in at 13 and a half hours actually in the water. And we shot in Baton Rouge, and in March, it's actually really cold in Louisiana. And I ended up getting hypothermia near the end of the shoot, and at a scene I believe ended up getting cut, but I was swimming and screaming and swimming and screaming, which is something that is really exhausting, and my body just kind of gave out. And about halfway across, going from, you have stunt guys in the water that kind of, thank goodness, look out for you. And swimming from one guy to the next, he said the light just went out of my eyes and I just sunk to the bottom.
Oh, my God.
That Louisiana swamp, we actually were shooting in a swamp. And he said he dove down and found my hair and pulled me up by my hair and threw me in the boat and had to get the water out of my lungs and everything, and yeah, so I drowned. It was all right. It's all in a day's work.
I think I remember hearing that there had been complications on the making of this movie. Not just that one, but yeah, that's pretty awful.
Well, anytime you're doing a low-budget film, you're going to run into a lot more complications because you're shooting on the fly, and even on that set earlier that day, I remember the stunt coordinator, I'm out wading in the water, before all hell breaks loose, and I'm supposed to be serene and happy, and all of a sudden I feel Rudy Weber was the stunt coordinator. I just feel his arms around me, and he's just like, don't move, don't say anything, just relax, just come out of the water with me, don't move, don't say anything, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? And then I see the rangers come out with a bloody chicken, and they start hitting the top of the water. And out comes a gator. And they fed him, they threw him in the boat, they put him on the other side, they let him back into the swamp, and they're like, all right, you're good to shoot again.
That's insane.
But that's how you make a low-budget film.
Now, recently you were on, last year, you were on, well, mostly 2013, but you were on American Horror Story.
I was. That was fantastic. It's still my favorite project that I've done. It was completely unexpected. I went in and auditioned for a character that was only supposed to work one day, and I ended up staying in New Orleans for 7 months.
For anyone who hasn't seen season 3 yet, tell us a little bit about who your character was.
I played Birgitta Lori, who is actually a person that existed in real life. She's the daughter of Dauphine Lori, who is a notorious serial killer in New Orleans. You can ask any native there about the Dauphine Lori house. They know where it is. It still stands there on Royal Street, the corner of Royal, and I think it's Governor's Avenue. I think it's on. It's right there in the French Quarter. Really ominous structure. It's still there. And so I got to do a lot of research into the history of New Orleans for my character, which is one of my favorite things. And Kathy Bates played, of course, the notorious serial killer. And so to play her daughter and to help her be evil was, I mean, I can't think of much more fun to be had on a set than to help Kathy Bates do some devious deeds.
Yeah, I do remember the character. You got locked up in a cage because you were having sex with a black man, correct?
That was my sister.
That was your sister, okay.
Yeah, my sister was the one who was having sex with the guy who ended up being turned into a minotaur later. Season 3 had a lot of subplots, a lot of very complicated plot lines, and it's, you know, when you go back and watch it, you're like, oh my gosh, there's so much going on.
What was the most insane thing on American Horror Story for you?
Insane as in like difficult or fun. Define insane, because my life's pretty insane, so I find insanity to be pretty normal.
What do you mean your life is pretty insane?
Showing up and pretending to kill people is pretty crazy. My first day on set with Kathy, was the scene where we disembowel the slave, and I reach in and pull out, I don't know if it was supposed to be a kidney or a pancreas or what. And I remember the director, Alfonso, telling me, he goes, the look on your face is great. Just stay with that. And I looked at him and I'm like, if you need me to throw up on cue, I am ready. Because it felt so real. And I'm like, just my luck. My first big scene with these fantastic actors, and I'm ready to hurl. It was great.
That's one thing I can't handle is vomit on set.
Right? I held it in. It was all right. But they did a really good job with, it just felt so firm and gooey. It felt exactly what you would think it would feel like coming out of a body.
You're also on The Gates, which I did watch for the show, for the length of the one season that the show was on. I was kind of disappointed the show didn't get renewed.
Yeah, I did too. I played a vampire hunter, and they had just introduced our characters, and were talking to us about season 2, about how they wanted our characters to develop, and we were just supposed to be introduced in season 1, and then that's when the show got canceled. And so they solved that by killing us all off in the last episode, and that was that. So I was disappointed that show got canceled.
Yeah, I'm. It was a favorite of mine, and I'm sad to see it go. What are you working on right now?
I'm on a film development right now that I'm working closely with a writer out here. It's out to a couple directors, so hopefully that'll launch pretty soon. I'm not going to say too much about it. We had talked before the show that we both like superheroes, and it's a superhero movie. So I'm really excited about that. And I have another film.
Who's your character?
I actually get to play the superhero in it. And which I love, because I don't think we have enough female superheroes, and when we do, they don't get their own movies. They're always kind of like the sidekick or in the background or an afterthought. I guess Supergirl's getting her own series soon, isn't she? I think I heard that. Yeah,
they just cast her. They cast Jimmy Olsen, and I think most of the characters have been cast now. The Toy Man is going to...
I'm really looking forward to. That's a step in the right direction. I like that.
I hope so, but let's face it. I mean, I've said this several times. No matter who they cast as Supergirl, that show is going to be so scrutinized and torn apart by hardcore feminists that don't do anything but bitch, moan, and complain because they're not being represented the way they want to be represented. And that poor actress is just going to get crapped on for anything written for her. And they haven't even revealed what she's going to look like in the costume yet. You know what I mean?
You make a really valid point, and that is really sad.
Actually, the only 3 cast members they've currently announced so far are Supergirl, Alora Zor-El, which is her mother, and Jimmy Olsen, who's going to be a black guy this time.
I'm looking forward to it.
I am too. I mean, the actress who plays her is really, really pretty. She was in Whiplash and Glee. She was on Glee for 43 episodes. So, it'll be interesting to see. Sorry. She was on Glee longer than that. She was on Glee for like a couple seasons. But yeah, I mean, the big question is going to be like, how is she going to look in the costume? Because it takes the right type of guy to be put into Superman's costume, because let's face it, his entire face is being shown with that costume on his body. It's not like Batman or Spider-Man, whose face is pretty much covered up, and you don't have to worry about, is he going to look good in the costume? Oh, it won't matter because he's, Spider-Man's covered from head to toe. But Superman, oh my god, if you cast the wrong look in the Superman costume, it's going to look terrible. Christopher Reeves set that bar so high. And with Supergirl, I mean, let's face it, she's basically cosplaying as Superman. She's a girl in a Superman costume with a skirt. I mean... And, wait a minute. Sorry. If you read the current comic books of Supergirl, she doesn't have the skirt anymore. It's basically like a bathing suit with a cape.
Yeah, I've seen, actually,
I mean, I assume they're probably going to go...
I would choose the fight crime in.
I assume they'd go more with the more traditional look or whatever. With the it's basically like the top half of Superman's costume, but instead of pants and the underwear on the outside, it's a skirt. Now here's the thing. Okay, do you remember when Smallville came out in 2001?
I do. Yeah.
Okay, what was the poster image of Tom Welling shown everywhere before Smallville came out? What was the poster?
Oh, I don't even remember.
It was Tom tied to a stake in a cornfield, naked from the waist up, with kryptonite around his neck, his bare chest hanging out, glistening with sweat. I expect to see the same thing with Supergirl now.
I kind of want to track down this poster now.
It was on billboards everywhere. Women were looking at that going, Superman.
Well, you know what?
I expect to see bare breasts hanging out. I expect to see dirty bare breast hanging out, glistening with sweat. It's a double-edged sword. I want it both ways.
Sounds like you should write and produce your own.
If I do that, it'll just come across as like... Well. If I do that, it'll just come across as like porn. And there's already a Supergirl porno out there.
Well, I hear that 50 Shades of Grey is doing pretty well, and that just looks like mass softcore porn to me. So
50 Shades of Grey.
Market it right.
50 Shades of Grey is such crap. Do not go see that movie. You want to experience real BDSM? Go to a bondage club.
I refuse to read the book or watch the movie. It's just not really my type of thing.
Yeah, it's absolute garbage. For people actually into the BDSM world, it is such crap.
I've heard a lot of people complaining that I think it's just bored housewives in middle America are eating it up.
Yeah, because they're not experiencing any type of real sex life with their significant other.
Oh, man, we're terrible.
I know. You said you're really into comic books. What comic books do you read?
I'm not saying that I'm into comic books, but I do love the superhero. Like, I like watching superhero movies. I don't really have time to read.
Too busy acting?
Yeah, reading, like, if I'm reading, it's usually scripts, because, as an actor, you have a lot you got to read, and even if you're not working, you got to stay up on, what's being in development, and so you try to get your hands on as many scripts as possible, so you can call your agent and convince them that you're perfect, so they can give a casting director that you're perfect, and the casting director can convince the director that you're perfect, but, you got to remind them that you're there, so it's a lot of work to keep working.
I hear that.
Yeah, and especially because I do a lot of television. I really enjoy doing television, and I'd like to do more. So I also have to keep up on all the current television shows, which is these days very impossible because there's so much TV now.
Now, do you prefer television over movies?
I think that I do. I like how fast television's shot. I like that you know whether or not your product's going to be seen. Whereas, you do a movie, I mean, there are several movies I've done that just kind of got shelved. Either they ran out of money in post-production, or they ran out of money halfway through production, and it just kind of shuts down, and that happens a lot in film. Whereas in television, you're usually, you've got advertisers that are counting on you to finish your season because they've already bought that advertising space, so you're going to finish it. You've got the money to finish it.
And in between these movies, you're, of course, doing conventions. What conventions are you doing coming up?
I've got Connuga in Chattanooga, Tennessee. It's actually going to be next weekend. I'll be there Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I hear it's snowing there, which it's been a while since I've been in some snow, so that should be fun.
I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
I do not want to hear it. Do you know how much frickin' snow we've had in Massachusetts? 75 goddamn inches.
Well, I'm originally from Pennsylvania, so I feel your pain. I've been through it, but there's a reason I moved.
It is fracking ridiculous.
I don't miss shoveling. I really don't. I feel really bad for you guys.
Oh, it's so frickin' bad.
And then in May, I'm going to be at a Spooky Empire, which is going to be in Orlando, Florida. I'm really looking forward to that one.
Well, you got to talk to John about coming out here to Massachusetts for one of our conventions, like Rock and Shock.
I'll be there. Tell him.
Yeah?
You've known him longer than I have. I'm sure you've got more pull with him.
Maybe. Hold on. All right. Well, we appreciate you coming on the show with us to talk a little bit about American Horror Story and all your other projects. Again, we were a big fan of the Gates as well, and it's been a lot of fun. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and when I'm out in Massachusetts, we can do something live together.
Yeah, that would be very, very cool. Hang on the phone one quick second.
Okay.
And we'll be back with more Radio Horror in just a few moments.